of being added to the agenda on Tuesday.
If it's one promise he kept his promise to veto the bill, and I thank him for keeping his promises.
A part of that promise was to also send down another budget to lawmakers and call them into special session to discuss it. The governor did that at around 12:30, sending a letter to the legislature calling them into special session for 1 o'clock. The catch, Speaker Judy Wonpat had already called senators into a regular session at 10:30, also for 1 o'clock this afternoon. When session started, Senator Ben Pangilinan motioned to have the governor's veto of the budget bill added to the voting file for the purpose of an override.
Objection, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we thought there was once again a gentleman's agreement that we were going to go into session just for the purposes of waiting for the bill that's being produced that the governor had sent to us. Now we're acting in special session, or in your call to session, when the governor has called us into session, Madam Speaker. So I believe, on special session, I believe we have to dispose of the governor's matter that he's put before us, and then we can move to the...
Senator, let me address then your objection.
Speaker Wonpat said that she would recess out of regular session and into special session once the governor's bill was reproduced for lawmakers. Senator Chris Duenas asked for the parliamentarian of the legislature for clarity.
The governor can call us into session even when we're in session. So
Senator,
the minority would like to get a ruling on that.
Madam Speaker, I'm going to ask that the gentleman exercise some decorum.
As word hit Adelup about the lawmakers proceeding with session, a press release was issued immediately stating the Speaker's action to ignore the governor's call for special session was illegal. The Democrats, meanwhile, overruled Duenas' objection and proceeded with the discussion on the governor's veto. Senator Ben Pangilinan arguing the island's chief executive was misleading the people in his criticisms of his budget.
The most glaring thing for me, Madam Speaker, is the governor continues to insist that he's vetoing this bill because we're providing too much money for tax refunds.
Pangilinan adding the appropriation in his budget for tax refunds were based on calculations from Revenue Tax.
So when the Director of Revenue and Taxation did his job by statute, required by statute, and performed the calculation, he determined that what was required to be set aside was $129 million. And the governor keeps insisting that that's too much money. And so he has set a provision that has gone from 113 to 107, Madam Speaker. But if you take a look at what has occurred, Madam Speaker, the governor's kind of talking about fiscal year and not tax year. So that by the time we pay the tax refunds, he's saying, I'm only going to pay 107. But he's not counting the fact that he has to pay the entire tax year. And so when...
Point of order, Madam Speaker. Sorry, Speaker Ben. I believe that what the gentleman is saying is very important for all members to listen to, and I noticed that our colleagues have walked out.
Even without the minority senators present, the Democrats proceeded to vote, but the override failed.